Good evening. Welcome to the November 13th Thousand Oaks Planning Commission meeting. Please stand with us and say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the Secretary please call roll?
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Grumney? Here. Commissioner Lund? Absent. Commissioner Reynolds? Here. Chair Wall?
Here. Now is the time for public comments. Members of the public are invited to address the Commission on issues that are within the Commission's purview and not on the agenda. Each speaker is allotted 5 minutes. I do not have any public speaker comment cards. Are there any public speakers? None. Okay, thank you. This is for public comments that aren't on the agenda. There should be a copy of the agenda on the table at the front if you wanted to see which case you're on. I think I recognize you, and I believe you're on case 6C. Okay. Written comments, announcements, and continuances.
We do have a short supplemental packet, including a letter regarding case 6A. I'm sorry, 6C.
Okay. Will the Secretary please call case 6A?
Hearing advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider agenda item 6A, case PPD 2006-70441, applicant Robin McEwen, request to allow the construction of first and second floor additions to an existing two-story single-family dwelling, location 1670 El Dorado Drive. Recommendation approved with conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Lin, you are presenting case 6A.
Good evening. For your first consideration this evening, a precise plan of design application has been filed requesting a second-story addition to an existing two-story single-family detached dwelling. The size of this addition exceeds 50% of the original footprint of the home. If I could direct your attention to the screen. The location is at 1670 El Dorado Drive. The addition consists of a first floor bedroom, bathroom, laundry room, and storage. For the second floor, consists of bedrooms and bathrooms expansion. Again, the location is at 1670 El Dorado Drive. This is the view of the front elevation. A focus to the left elevation where the majority of the addition is going to be. This is the view of the rear and the right elevation. The rear right elevation. Again, it's for 1 and 2 story addition. The total room addition is 1,828 square feet, a 101 increase from the original footprint, and a 68% increase from existing total square footage. The maximum height is 24 feet and 6 inches. Staff recommends approval based on the findings and subject to conditions detailed in the staff report. This concludes the staff's presentation. Staff is available for comments or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lin. Are there questions? Commissioner Grumney?
Good evening, Mr. Lin. What do you know the square footage of the lot itself?
In the RO zone, it's a minimum of 20,000 square foot. I'm not quite sure what the square footage of the lot is. It's 0.45 of an acre.
Thank you.
It's a little bit over 20,000 square foot.
Are there other questions? None. Mr. Lin, when we were out there today, we had noted the large trees, the landscaping that are closest to the house that where the addition will be added on. Were you able to talk to the applicant about whether those trees will be retained?
The staff did not have a chance to talk to the applicant regarding the trees. The trees are not protected oak trees, and since the neighbor on that particular site did not call for any type of privacy issue, the condition of maintaining those trees was not included in the condition.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? None. Okay, we will go to our applicant, Ms. Robin McEwen. Could you come forward? You have 15 minutes to present. Please state your name, city of residence, and I'm sorry, could you please come to the mic? That is part of the procedure. Thank you. Please state your name, city of residence, and whatever you wanted to state.
And I have no particular presentation to make. The two questions that were asked, yes, the lot is 20,000 square feet. The trees will remain. I have no plans to remove any of the trees. Other than that, I don't have a particular, the neighbors all seem to be fine with it. I brought one of them along in case anyone wanted to hear from him. But, you know, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward addition. Does anyone have any questions that I can field for you?
Thank you, Ms. McEwen. Are there questions? I was really glad to hear that you plan to retain the ash trees because they really do add to the neighborhood. Is the neighbor that is here tonight the next door neighbor? The one?
No, the neighbor that's here tonight is directly across the street.
Okay, but your neighbor next door is fine with the addition too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other speakers on this case and no comment cards. So with that, we'll return to Mr. Lin. Is there anything at all that you needed to add?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing and go to commission comments. A motion. Commissioner Reynolds.
Thank you. I'm very pleased that she had talked to the neighbors, and I saw one of the neighbors, he offered to help me in the backyard, but I didn't need to go in there. I've lived in the area for 32 years, and I know there is no homeowners association, but there are CC&Rs with the property, but everything is a minimum of half acre in Caneo Oaks area. So with that, I would like to move approval of PPD 2006-70441, and I'm pleased to see the addition. A lot of people are doing it at Caneo Oaks, and it would just add to the area.
Thank you. Comments to the motion? None? I'll just add mine. I also feel that this is a really nice addition, and it's always wonderful when people come forward and have their neighbors in agreement. And I wish you a lot of luck on it. Okay, please vote.
Motion passed 4-0.
And for the record, there's a 10-day appeal period. Thank you. Will the Secretary please call Case 6B?
Hearing advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider Agenda Item 6B regarding case PPD 2006-70449, applicant Leonie and Angela Zajac, request to allow the construction of first and second floor additions and a balcony to an existing two-story single-family dwelling, location 1845 Stones Gate Street. Recommendation, approve with conditions.
Thank you. I do want to state at this point that I have one speaker card, but it is not from the applicant. Is the applicant here? Okay. Could you please fill out a speaker card and give it to our secretary? I'm sorry. I have one, and it's not at the address. Okay, thank you. It had the wrong number on it. Thanks very much. With that, we'll go to Mr. Lin.
Yes, for your second consideration this evening, a PBD application has been filed requesting for a first and second story addition with balcony to an existing two-story single-family detached dwelling. The size of this addition exceeds 50% of the original footprint of the home. If I can direct your attention to the screen again. The location is at 1845 Stones Gate Street. The proposed first floor consists of family room, a front entry, and dining room expansion. For second floor is for bedroom expansion and a balcony to the rear of the property. Aerial photo. The front elevation, the proposed family room will be to the left side of the garage doors. It's a view of that front yard area. Left side where the balcony is proposed. The view of the right rear yard area. Again, the proposed is for one-story addition with balcony. We do require that color and material to match existing. The total room addition is 1,748 square foot, consists of a 79% increase. Maximum height is 24 foot and 6 inches. Staff recommends approval based on the findings and subject to the conditions detailed in the staff report. This concludes staff's report. Staff is available for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lin. Questions for staff? Commissioner Reynolds.
Good evening, Mr. Lin. There is a letter in our packet from the Foxmore Hills Homeowners Association, and it talks about a deck. Is there a deck to be put?
Yeah, I think there was some sort of confusion. The proposed slope-mounted deck has been crossed out from the original application. The homeowner association, my understanding is that they did not approve the slope-mounted deck, and it was not part of this application.
Okay, so we're not seeing that at all? Or
No.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, Mr. Lin, the only question I had is the height of the house going to remain what it is right now, or is it being made higher?
According to the proposed elevation, it will match the existing height currently.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? None. Okay, and we will go to our applicant, Mr. Leo Zajic. Please state your name, city of residence, and you have 15 minutes.
My name is Leon Zajic. I've been living in Thousand Oaks for 10 years now. I absolutely love the area, love the community, and our family is growing, so that's why we're looking to expand. I'm here to answer any of your questions if you have any.
Thank you. Other questions? Go ahead.
Yes, have you talked with your neighbors? Are they aware of what you're building here? And are they
Yes, part of the homeowners association, I think we have a very strict association in our community, and it took them quite a while to approve these plans. We had to make several changes, and several of the homeowners have written in agreement with what we're proposing. One is sitting right there, my neighbor. So nobody really had any objections to it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? None. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Zajic.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Elsquez. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name right. Please state your name and city of residence. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Elsquez, and I live right next door. My only concern about this is, Leo did come to me and asked me if it was okay to do construction and so on, and obviously it's fantastic. But I bought my property 3 years ago, and one of the reasons I bought that particular one is because I have a lot of privacy. I don't think Leo can really look into my backyard from any of his windows. or in, because I'm a little higher. And I'm concerned about, I'd really like to keep that privacy. I haven't had a chance to look at the plans until I came in here tonight. I don't know exactly where he wants to put the balcony, because if it's on the second floor, it's just very possible that he then, from that balcony, can certainly, look over my backyard pool area and so on, which I would object to. Leo and I have talked about putting some vegetation between our properties, just at a certain height, so that I can keep my privacy, and he is willing to do that. He's willing to help me with that. So my main concern is to keep my privacy. I think he should be able to do with his house whatever he needs to do to, make it bigger for his needs. But I definitely need to keep my privacy back there.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Ure. I think we could probably have staff address your questions and talk about that as we do our. You are in agreement with everything else?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as I can continue to have my privacy, that's fine. I'd also like to know, really his beginning date of construction. I certainly don't want it to go on for 2 years.
Right. I think you have a good neighbor, and I'm sure he'll keep you informed.
Absolutely.
So.
We can converse.
Do you think if the balcony looks like it may be a privacy intrusion, that adding landscaping would solve the problem?
It might.
Okay.
It might, depending on where exactly it's located, and I can't really tell by these plans.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mrs. Ure? None? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is our last speaker, and we'll return to Mr. Lin.
In responding to the privacy issue, the staff did not receive any letters or any phone calls regarding about possible privacy intrusion. Did not expect to have this response. My understanding is that there is partial landscaping along the right property line area, which should partially block some of the view into the backyard. However, staff did not stand at the window area, and so I'm not sure that what type of landscaping would remedy this problem. We have previously under other projects, we have added that proper landscaping should be added to remedy the privacy issue. We have added conditions like that before, should the Planning Commission wants to add that condition. Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Lin. We will return to our applicant. I'm sorry, were there any other questions for Mr. Lin? Oh, I'm sorry. One second, please. Commissioner Reynolds.
Mr. Lin, the home, are we talking about the left elevation that faces her home?
My understanding, it would be if you're facing a house, it will be on the right side of the house where the proposed balcony will be located.
No, I think it's the other side that the balcony's on the rear, from what I see. The right elevation, I don't see balcony, but I see on the left, which is probably her home. So it's the right side.
Okay. I'm sorry, we can't have discussion in the audience while the Planning Commission is reviewing this with Mr. Lin. Thank you.
So which side is it? Is it the right or the elevation that's facing her home, or the left?
It'll be to the left.
The left.
Side of the property. think she lives here. Oh, okay, so it'll be this one then, okay. All right, it'll be to the left then.
If I could interject here, the balcony is at the rear of the house towards the right side. From the testimony that the lady presented, I believe she lives to the left of the house, uphill, she said. So the balcony is toward the other side of the house.
I think we have this all cleared up. There is no balcony on the left side, and I do have it confused with other plans that we're looking at tonight. Okay, Mr. Lin, is there anything else we need to add?
Sorry, I apologize for the confusion. The proposed balcony will be approximately about 47 feet away from the left property line. Staff just want to add that.
Questions of staff? None. Okay, and we will return to Mr. Leo Zajic. You have 5 minutes. And again, please state your name, city of residence.
Yes, I guess you just cleared everything up. My neighbor is on the left side of the plans. If you're looking at the first page, scope of work, she's on the left. The balcony is on the right, and it's only going out 4 feet. It's 4 by 10, so 4 feet out, and it's actually being blocked by I have a big living room, but if you're looking at the plans, it's that kind of area. I have a big gable with lots of windows, so it's blocking that balcony as well. And even if, I think it's really right there.
Are there any questions of the speaker? None. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
And we'll close the public hearing, go to commission comments and/or motion. Commissioner Fisher.
Yes, this looks like a nice plan. It's great to see neighbors coming down and working together and making sure everyone's on the same page. That's, again, awesome to see. Thank you very much. I'd like to go ahead and make the motion to approve entitlement number 2006-70449 PPD PC with the findings and conditions as listed in our packet.
Thank you. Comments to the motion? Commissioner Reynolds.
And I agree with the motion. I think it's great to see the two neighbors working together, and I like the addition.
Thank you. And I also concur. Are there any closing remarks, Commissioner Fisher? None. Okay, please vote.
Motion passed 4-0.
And for the record, there is a 10-day appeal period. Will the Secretary please call case 6C?
Hearing advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider agenda item 6C regarding case PPD 2006-70523. Applicant Hassam Aprishami request to allow the construction of first and second floor additions and balconies to an existing one-story single-family dwelling. Location 2351 Topsail Circle. Recommendation, approve with conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Chang, you're presenting case 6C.
Thank you, Chair Walls and members of the Commission for your consideration tonight. A PPD application has been filed at 2351 Topsail Circle. If we can turn your attention to the screen. The applicant is proposing to construct a two-story addition to existing one-story single-family dwellings. And the project consists of an addition on the first floor, including a new entry feature and porch area, also with a porch cover. On the second floor, you will include a studio room, a bedroom, bathroom, and also several balconies. This is the project location at 2351 Topsail Circle, which is at the corner of Topsail and also Triumphal Canyon. This is one of the front elevation views. This is a separate front elevation, basically taken from the corner of Topsail and also Triumphal Canyon. This is a partial rear elevation view of the existing house. For a building design, the applicant is proposing to add 1,626 square feet to an existing one-story house. And for colors and material, you will match with the existing house. For staff analysis, this project was previously brought to the commission back in sometime in the summer, and it was denied by the commissions based on the finding that the addition and also the applicant has other design alternatives without encroaching the setback and without requesting any type of a setback waiver and also building height waiver. And the applicant has bring back a different design, which in this case, the size has been reduced to approximately 430 square feet. So for the size and design-wise, it will kind of match the existing house in the vicinities. And also, this project will meet the municipal requirements in sense of a setback, building heights, parking, and also open space requirements. So for staff recommendations, staff is recommending the commission to approve this project based on the findings and subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. This concludes staff's presentation, and staff is ready for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. Questions of staff? Commissioner Fisher.
Mr. Chang, on notice of application, it says the subject property is within the area of Windward Shores Association. Do they have any requirements where they need to approve or submit a letter?
For the previous application they filed, they did get the association approval, and that addition was basically requesting a bigger size additions and also asking for different type of a waiver, including setback and a building heights waiver. And for this application, I'm not sure whether the applicant has resubmit the proposal back to the homeowner association to get a separate approval. So maybe we can check with the applicant to answer that questions.
Thank you.
Other questions? No? Okay. Mr. Chang, on the house that was built next door, the second-story addition, they provided a setback for the second story. I mean, it was for municipal code purposes, but it was also for design purposes. And this house is, you know, being on the corner is all at one straight line up and down. Was there any reason why they didn't provide the kind of guidelines that we're looking for design?
For this project, on one side of the side yard, the applicant did have a recess on one side, basically closing to the neighbor side. On the other side, which facing the Triumphal Canyon, the applicant using a porch covers and also balconies, and also they have a tower feature to use this architectural feature along the Triumphal Canyon. They serve as a purpose to break down the existing straight-up walls.
And the setback from the fence is approximately 3 feet then? Is that correct?
The setback from the building wall to the existing fence, it is around 3 and 3.5 feet. However, the setback to the actual property line, which is where staff will measure from, is 10 feet, which does meet the minimal municipal code requirement regarding the first story and also second story 10-foot side yard setback.
Okay, so that area outside the fence belongs to the property owner, even though it is HOA property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions? None. Okay, we'll go to our first speaker, Hessam Abrashami. Mr. Abashami, please state your name, city of residence, and you have 15 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Hessam Abrishami. I'm resident of Westlake Village. And I don't have anything to say, but if you have any question, you can answer.
I'm sorry, no comments from the audience. Are there questions of the speaker? None. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Abashami. I'm sorry. There is one. Mr. Abashami, come back. Commissioner Reynolds.
I'm sorry. Good evening. Did you submit these plans to the property or your homeowners association?
The first plan, yes, but the second one, no. We didn't yet.
Okay, thank you.
We will.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker, Roland Bradler. Mr. Bradler, please state your name, city of residence. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Roland Bradler, designer and architect for Mr. Abashami. My residence is 22141 Ventura Boulevard, Suite 211. It's my office, form and function. I would recommend to approve this project because we really try to accommodate all the design requirements of the city of Thousand Oaks. Very difficult property to do because for the setbacks, I mean, we try to work with everything, and we feel that we came up with a maximum design requirements what the city has and make everybody happy, also my client, of course, and I have to really consider my client's wishes, and I think we came to a good compromise, my feeling. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions of the speaker? None. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Mr. Brent Hanratty. Mr. Hanratty, please state your name, city of residence. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Brent Hanratty, 2359 Topsail Circle. I'm a neighbor directly next door to the applicant's proposed project. First thing I want to say, because of the unique location of his lot and my lot, I think no other neighbor will be more impacted by the project than myself. And without question, the architect and the applicant have met all the criteria, but not only the homeowners association as well as the city of Thousand Oaks. And I am in favor for the project, and I think it would be unreasonable to deny him the right that I was given and so many other people are given to build a second story. Wanted to comment on the one question regarding the second floor setback. The applicant's lot is a little bit unique to the area because he doesn't have a zero setback on one side of his property. He has a 10-foot setback on one side and from 20 foot down to about 10 feet on the other side. So his need to create a second floor relief really wouldn't be required because he's not on a zero lot line. They did recreate that design element with the covered porch, and I think Mr. Chang would agree they did really meet the intent of the code because his particular lot really is a little bit different than all the other lots. And that is it. Any questions?
Are there questions of the speaker? Commissioner Grumney.
What's the square footage of your home?
It is 3,400 square feet.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Carol Elsquez. Please state your name, city of residence, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Carol Elsquez. I live on Windward Circle since 1986. I really like this place, this area, and the way it's set up, and I think you might even say I love the place. It was well planned, and lots of thought was put into it, I believe. The lake is lovely. It's not crowded. The area is not crowded. It has mostly one-family homes. You know your neighbors, and there's not a lot of strangers who you're not sure, is wandering around in your backyard or something. I know that some of you, or maybe a lot of you, are thinking, boy, mansionizing is the ticket. If I build a second story with 3 or more bedrooms and a couple of baths, I can sell this house for a lot more. But if your neighbor does that to you, your property may not be increased in value. It may decrease, because if your house, as in one that was built recently on top sale, dwarfs the house next to it, if it takes away their privacy, where when you go in the big house, you can see down into the swimming pool, you can see down into the neighbor's house through the bottom windows, and it, I believe, has probably decreased the value of that property. I don't know, but I'm just saying that I believe that that would, excuse me, that would be the case. Now, let me see here. The thing of it is, I believe, that you have to really, I think, look at the whole uniqueness of the area, and the house, in my estimation, that was built was extremely large. It was too big for the houses around it, and it has probably started a trend of mansionizing, which is not the thing that I would like to see, and I think many people would not either, but I just want you to know that that is, the mansionizing to me is kind of like monsterizing, because if it overpowers the houses around it, it's then that is not a good thing at all. It also brings in denser crowding of more people because you have bigger houses, or it encourages renters, although that's not encouraged by the CCRs. It does, you know, if you have a house that's big enough for 6 or 7 or 8 people, then it's got to be somebody with a really big family to keep it in a one-family home. Otherwise, you have renters who are maybe very nice people, but they usually are not quite as desirable as people that, you know, just have it as in their own, as their own home and to raise their own kids in. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the matter, and I hope that you will consider it. I don't understand entirely this thing about how many feet from the north, the street, Windward Circle, it has to be. But I hope that they were not saying that it would include the area on up to the sidewalk or something, because I'm sure that that property is part of the green belt. I don't think that belongs to that owner at all. I may be wrong, but I don't believe so. So we might want to check into that, because that would make it really undesirable. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions of the speaker? None? Okay. Next speaker, Ms. Sandy Nelson. Please state your name, city of residence, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Sandy Nielsen. I live on Windward Circle. And I also don't understand this part that Mr. Abershami says he owns that's beyond the fence. Is that the concrete ivy-colored fence that runs along what we consider our green belt with all the trees and everything? Or is that going to be taken away?
Ms. Nielsen, if you just state what your concerns are, staff will address your questions when you're done speaking.
Okay.
Thank you.
My concern is that, as everybody has stated, that these buildings are inappropriate to this area, which is a very modest, kind of cottagey kind of area. And they really do overpower all of the other houses, and they just don't look right. They don't feel right for the neighborhood. My other concern is I'd like to know what happens to the parking during construction, if there is construction. What would happen to the parking of the vehicles there on Windward Circle? The last time I came, everybody said very cavalierly, well, we'll park everything on Windward Circle, which would be a very bad idea, because A, there's a blind curve there. There are no stop signs. It's already not really a very safe street, and I think parking there would be a hazard during the construction period. And I was also wondering what would happen with our greenbelt on the lake side of this proposed house. Have they made any arrangements for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions of the speaker? None? Okay. And for the record, we have one statement card opposed to the request. We will return to Mr. Chang.
Regarding to the property line issues, and according to staff's research and also checking with the archive and the old files, the property line for Mr. Abrashami's lot actually is extended to the edge of the sidewalk, and the portion between the existing bushes or the fencing toward the sidewalk, that portion still belongs to Mr. Abrashami. However, according to Mr. Abrashami's statement, that is maintained by the homeowner association. However, he still maintains that section. So when staff look at where the setback, where to measure from, staff measure from where the exactly property line is. So that's where the edge of the sidewalk, in which they do have a 10 feet setback. And regarding to some of the people's question about what they plan to do with that green belt, and it's my understanding, also talking to Mr. Abrashami, that they're not going to do anything to that green belt. All the addition basically within and going up within the existing bushes or existing fencing, so they're not encroaching any of the easement or the green belt area. And basically addition will be within and going up. Basically, majority of the addition will be on the second story addition. So there might be some trimming and cutting of the tree, but none of the addition will actually encroach or over that green belt area. And the other question about the size of the house, and the addition, the previous addition was over 4,000 square feet, and this project, they reduced the size to reduce approximately 435 square feet. So in terms of compatibility, this project is compatible with the one next door, which is approved by Planning Commission 2 years ago, and actually smaller than the one next door. So in terms of compatibility, it is compatible to the existing homes within the vicinity. And regarding the Windward Circle, actually, Windward Circle was approved as a different track as attached townhomes. So they do have two different type of criteria and also lot size. So staff can really compare two different housing track and also two different design concepts as evaluation in terms of compatibility.
Questions of staff? Yeah, Commissioner Grundy.
Mr. Lynn, I was a little bit confused. Did you just say that the one next door is smaller in size?
Actually, the one next door is bigger. It's bigger by approximately 10 or 11 square feet, and it was detailed in the staff report.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand, because what I thought I heard, because one of the speakers says that it's 3,400 square feet is the one next door, and the one we're looking at, isn't that 3,859 square feet?
Actually, 3,400 square feet doesn't including garage. And what we do is count the garage. I guess when Mr. Harney speak, I don't think he include the garage as part of our 3,400 square feet.
Okay, so if you take out the garage, so that I'm looking at this one here, and when I add what's on the report, I'm coming up with 3,859. What would be if we took the garage out, so I can, compare apples with apples?
Garage is about 400 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions, Mr. Lynn? Commissioner Fisher.
Mr. Lynn, is there an issue since the Windward Shores Association hasn't seen this particular plan, is there a problem if the commission approved and subsequently Windward Shores didn't agree with the plans? Or do they not play into this?
It is my understanding that the applicant want to wait until city approval before we submit it to the architectural committee. Since architectural committee already seen the previous design, and this design, which basically is smaller in size, so typically, usually, architectural committee usually have less concern if they reduce the size of the square footage, so not requesting all the different waivers. But in terms of city approval, when staff reviewing the project based on city requirement, not based on what CCNR states.
Are there other questions? None. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Prescott.
Yes, if I could, Matt, perhaps you can address some of the other concerns regarding, specifically there was a question, is there any construction planned out towards the lake into that greenbelt area adjacent to the lake? And then also the parking on, during construction on Windward, do we see that as posing any kind of a concern?
The project will be within the existing fencing or bushes, so there's no construction, no addition-wise expanding beyond the existing bushes or the wrought iron fence. And regarding the construction activity, it is my understanding that construction activity or the vehicles-wise will be on Topsail and also the Triumphal Canyon Road, not necessarily go into Windward because there'll be still a sufficient distance from Topsail to Windward. So it is my understanding that those vehicles will be parked on Topsail or on Windward. On Topsail and also Triumphal Canyon, which is a side street of the main Triumphal Canyon Road.
Actually, I think that side street is Windward Circle itself, but in the location adjacent to the house, there is plenty of safe on-street parking available. They would not be parking on Triumphal Canyon Road itself, and they would not be parking in front of the residences further along on Windward Circle.
Okay. Are there any other questions? None. Okay, and we return to Mr. Abashami. You have 5 minutes, sir. Please state your name and city of residence again.
My name is Hessam Abashami. I live in 2351 Topsail Circle, Westlake Village. And I'm 55 years old. I built that house for myself and for my family. I'm not the builder. I'm not some kind of the person to build that one and sell it. No, I would like to keep it that one for my rest of my life. I love the neighborhood, really, really enjoy that neighborhood, and I try to keep it clean and the way it should be. This is the only things I would like to say.
Thank you. Other questions? None. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we'll close the public hearing and go to commission comments and/or a motion. Commissioner Reynolds.
I'll start off the discussion. I was very pleased to see that this house has been reduced in size and that there are no waivers on it. I'm pleased to see that the next door neighbor came down to talk about he would be the most impacted by it. And I'm sorry that the Homeowners Association hasn't seen the plans, but I know that we don't have anything to do with that. People are always afraid when they see additions go on, and I drove all the way down to the Topsail, and there are some very large houses in through there, and especially at the end. And even when you drive down Windward, the next street over, even though they are attached, they seem large too. And this house is 11 square feet smaller than the one next door. So at this time, I will make a motion to approve PPD 2006-70523 with the findings and conditions as attached.
Comments to the motion? Commissioner Fisher.
I will support the motion. Certainly encourage the applicant to move ahead with the homeowners association. It's always good to include them in the process, but it does meet all the setback requirements and all the other city codes, so pleased to support this.
Commissioner Gumney, no comments. I'm kind of torn on this case because it is a very large addition, and after having seen the addition next door, I really do feel that this is mansionization in this neighborhood. I would like to see the second story set back, and I would like to see the homeowner participation here tonight. So at this time, I am not comfortable in approving the motion. Please vote.
Motion passed, 3-1, Wall opposed.
And for the record, there is a 10-day appeal period. Will the Secretary please call case 60?
Hearing advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider agenda item 6D regarding case MCA 2006-70246, applicant, City of Thousand Oaks, request to consider an amendment to the Thousand Oaks Municipal Code to allow grading prior to recordation of final maps, location, citywide, recommend City Council approve MCA 2006-70246.
Thank you. Mr. Spector, you're presenting.
Good evening, Chair Wall, members of the Planning Commission. Tonight we're here to consider an amendment to the Thousand Oaks Municipal Code to allow grading prior to recordation of final maps. And as far as the environmental considerations for this change, we've determined that because this involves a change in procedures and has no physical effect itself, it's not a project as defined by the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines and is therefore exempt. As far as the current municipal code, grading is generally not allowed with respect to a tract or a parcel map until the final map has been recorded. There is an exception that allows the Planning Commission to permit stage grading at the time of approval of the tentative or parcel map. And what we mean by stage grading is sort of rough earthwork, kind of preliminary earthwork, cuts and fills, but not at a level suitable for construction of improvements. The issue with not allowing grading prior to final map recordation has to do with a couple of things. It tends to delay and add to the cost of developing a project when that project involves a parcel map or tract map, and that is not limited only to single-family subdivisions. It also affects, and the Commission has actually considered approving and approved a number of projects, non-residential projects, office complex, for example. But it could also affect residential condominiums. It could affect other non-residential projects. Could be a church, could be a shopping center, could be an industrial complex. And staff believes that it's not detrimental to allow grading prior to recordation because there are protections. There are other provisions that prevent premature and inappropriate grading. Among them, the code prohibits grading without an entitlement, whether that be a tentative map or a development permit of some kind or an SUP. The code prohibits grading in the case when a development allotment is required. It prohibits grading without the granting of a development allotment. In addition, the code requires bonds, and the bonds, grading bonds, and the grading bonds provide funds that allow the city to restore or complete grading, to restore a site to a stable condition in the event that something happens and the builder cannot complete the grading. In addition, whenever grading involves the creation of manufactured slopes for erosion protection and for other purposes, those slopes are stabilized and landscaped. One of the items that will be cleaned up with this amendment is the definition of stage grading, because the current definition includes provisions that authorize the Planning Commission and city engineer to be involved with the approval of stage grading. Actually, city engineer can terminate stage grading. And staff believes that these kinds of things belong in other sections of the code, and they shouldn't be in the definition at all. So as far as to summarize the amendment that's before you tonight, it would allow grading prior to recordation of final maps, but it will retain those protections that I'll outline here. No grading without a development permit or a tract map, the entitlement. No grading without a development allotment if allotment's required. And no grading unless adequate bonds are posted that guarantee completion of the grading and ensure that the land is left in a stable condition. And as I mentioned before, the amendment would also modify the definition of stage grading, which is basically altering the gross contours of the ground, but not to the extent of the precise ground contours necessary to construct improvements or the construction of the actual improvements or base materials. And that's pretty much the nature of the amendment. So staff is recommending that the Commission recommend that the Council approve the municipal code amendment as recommended in the staff report and subject to the findings that are described in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and we have City Engineer Jay Spurgeon here to assist us if there's technical questions.
Thank you, Mr. Spector. Are there questions? None. Okay. Mr. Spector, I was wondering, this code has been on the books probably since the beginning of the city, so why all of a sudden now are we deciding to make things faster for development?
Well, we've had a number of cases that have come up recently, and the Commission has considered these projects where we think it was prudent on the behalf of the Commission to allow grading prior to final map. And given the stage and the development of the city, where we have very little residential, single-family residential opportunities left, we think it's prudent to allow this, and I think we'll probably get into a little bit more discussion perhaps with Jay about what it means to allow a project to grade prior to recordation as far as its effect on the land, for example, or on the pace of development. In many cases, it has no effect on the protections we think are necessary for the environment.
Okay, so what I've seen in the past couple of years on Planning Commission, though, is that many of the housing applicants that come before us, it's very steep hillside. A lot of times these projects have been labeled undevelopable. So why would we want to, at this point, when we have these type of parcels coming forward, make it easier and faster for that grading to happen before we even have the map recorded? I believe that maps sometimes are changed. I mean, I was told that there's 3 different checks at the county, the surveyor's office, and that frequently the maps need revised. So why are we doing this now when we already have the ability to make exceptions where they're needed?
Maybe I can address that. The only circumstances under which a grading permit can be issued, whether or not a track map is recorded, is if, in the cases you're discussing, is if the Planning Commission has already approved the project. As part of a project that involves a subdivision, the Planning Commission will approve at the time a tentative subdivision map, which is the actual plan for the division of the property. The map that the Commission sees is called a tentative map because it is not done to the precise mathematical precision that is required to actually create lot lines. That's what the final map does. So the plan checks that occur after the Commission has approved a tentative map are of a technical nature to make sure that, for example, all of the lot lines meet and the legal descriptions are going to be accurate. And also the city staff checks to make sure that the final map actually conforms to the tentative map that the Planning Commission approved. The city has no discretion over the approval of final maps. Those checks that we spoke of are not other reviews as to the substance of the map. Once the Planning Commission has approved the tentative map, the approval of the final map is ministerial as long as they meet the accuracy standards of the county recorder and the county public works department. So there are no substantive policy decisions with relationship to the grading that occur after the Planning Commission approves the tentative map. The only suggestion here is because of the length of time that it sometimes takes the county, which plan checks the final maps, because of that length of time, it sometimes holds up projects, and the city really doesn't lose anything by allowing the grading to proceed in conformance with the tentative map that the Planning Commission approved.
And if this change doesn't go into effect, the Planning Commission still has the ability, or the City Council has the ability, to allow pre-grading on any certain case that comes before them, right?
The Planning Commission has the authority through the conditioning of a project to allow grading to occur prior to track recordation. That's, since the code speaks against that, it's unusual for the Commission to do that. But there have been cases where a developer has come back and asked through a major modification process, which in and of itself is quite lengthy and expensive, to have that condition placed on their project. That's under the current law. It's just staff's belief that it's an unnecessary step in the process, that there are adequate safeguards to make sure that any grading that does take place will conform to what the Planning Commission approved, and the appropriate bonds are posted to complete grading if it's abandoned. And that a grading can be abandoned whether or not the final map's been recorded. It's somewhat of an administrative step.
Okay, other questions? We do have one speaker on this case, Mr. Tom Cohen. Mr. Cohen, please state your name, city of residence. You have 5 minutes.
Tom Cohen, I'm a resident of Thousand Oaks. Just very quickly, I concur with the recommendations that staff is proposing to you, and we hope that you will carry that recommendation to the City Council. What's before you just makes a lot of sense. It's a practical approach to the construction process that takes place following the entitlement decisions that you make. And we think that the appropriate provisions are in place to ensure that the work does in fact get done through the bonds and the subdivision agreements that are provided by the city to the applicant. So with that, we recommend that you carry this on to the council with a positive recommendation. Thank you.
Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Grundy, go ahead. Question for staff.
That's okay.
Okay, so we will return to staff. Commissioner Grundy, go ahead.
Chair Wall brought up the possibility of being able to look at if there was no change that we could give permission to allow an applicant to move forward. Could we also do the reverse? So if this was adopted and it turned out for some reason we felt that we did not want to allow an applicant to go forward, could we do that?
Well, it may be a legal question, but I mean, in the conditions of approval on a project, on an entitlement?
But maybe I can answer your question a little bit. As it is right now, what's written in the code would require Planning Commission approval to allow grading prior to recordation of the map. All this does is gives that discretion to the Public Works Director. They still can't go out there and do any grading until the Public Works Director is satisfied through the plan check process and through the grading plans that are reviewed that it's appropriate to start the grading at a specific time. So all it's doing is moving it from one decision maker to another.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? None. Okay. Let's go to commission comments and or a motion. I'm going to start with my comments on this. I'm really not in favor of doing this because I think it is chipping away at our good codes. Thousand Oaks has marvelous codes, and these have guided our city in the best direction possible. There is already in place the ability for the Planning Commission to approve grading prior to map recordation. I was on one of the cases where we did this. At the Mayflower development, the Centex development, there were water issues, and by allowing pre-grading, it meant that the apartments would have better water pressure as well as the new homes that were being built. I really don't see any reason to do this other than to make it a faster process for applicants. And from what I have been told, the entire process has not been delayed at the county. There is three checks that are performed, and those checks take approximately 9 weeks, and then there's a week or so for map recordation. This is what every other applicant in Thousand Oaks has been doing for years and years, and I think it works. So with that, we'll go to other comments. Commissioner Fisher.
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Wall's comments. We are approaching build-out. I don't see the need to switch a process, so it speeds it up a little bit. You know, I look at this process as a check and balance. You know, I don't think we need to eliminate one body or the other. It's served us well so far. We have had projects that have come up that have requested stage grading, which the ones that I've been on have been approved. I really don't see the need. You know, although we aren't making a decision here, you know, we're recommending to the council, you know, it's essentially going to be in the council's purview, but certainly I would recommend, you know, that we keep things the same. I just don't see the need for it. Again, with approaching build out, I don't see what the big hurry is.
Commissioner Grundy? No comments? Commissioner Reynolds?
I have to disagree with you. I think because we are nearing build-out that I don't have a problem at all if staff believes that this is a better way to do things, that I'm not opposed at all to changing the municipal code. And so I would recommend that the City Council, that we pass this with a positive to the City Council.
One last chance. Okay. Go ahead. Please vote. Oh, there isn't a motion. Okay. I will make the motion then that we recommend to the City Council that Municipal Code Amendment MCA 2006-70246 not take place. Please vote.
It's a tie vote, 2-2. Fisher and Wall opposed.
Thank you very much. Will the secretary please call?
Hold on 1 second.
before we go on.
I'm trying to figure out whether or not this is one of the situations where we need to continue it to allow the fifth commissioner to come or not. So just give me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a legislative one, so it'll just go straight on. Okay, it'll just go straight on.
Yeah, I think Tracy's.
Yeah, this is a legislative decision, so we don't need to continue it to allow the fifth commissioner to attend. It'll just go straight to the city council with notice that there was a 2-2 decision and no recommendation being made.
All right, thank you. Case, will the secretary please call case 7A?
Now is the time for the Residential Development Evaluation Board public hearing, assignment of point ratings and supplemental award of development allotments for 2006. Case A, DA 2004-01, Centex Homes, Tract 5377, TTM 2006-70266, 82 allotments. Request to assign a project point rating to a request to allow the construction of 69 townhome units and 13 single-family residences. Location southwest and northwest corners of Ventura Park Road and Ramona Drive. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Rinke, good evening.
Chair Wall and members of the Commission, the purpose of the public hearing is for the Residential Development Evaluation Board to assign project point ratings to this one residential project competing for the supplemental award of the 2006 development allotments and recommend these point ratings to the City Council for adoption. This is an annual process required by the city's residential development control system, Measure A. Only residential projects which have been approved on their merits are eligible to be awarded allotments. The purpose of the public hearing, this project was approved and a tentative point rating was assigned by the Planning Commission after the award of development allotments for 3 other projects earlier this year by the City Council. The total request is for 82 allotments. This includes 69 townhome units and 13 single-family residences. There are 181 allotments available for award at this time. The Planning Commission recommendation. The Planning Commission approved DA 2004-01 on its merits on July 10th, 2006. The Planning Commission, sitting as the Residential Development Evaluation Board, assigned ratings to this project at its hearing on July 10th, 2006. Staff recommendation is that the Planning Commission assign the project point ratings to this one project competing for the supplemental award of 2006 development allotments and recommend these point ratings to the City Council for adoption. And this concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Are there any questions? None. And we, of course, don't have any speakers on this, do we? Okay. We will go to Commission comments and or motion. Commissioner Reynolds.
Thank you. I would move that the Residential Development Evaluation Board assign the 82 point ratings to the project, the DA 2004-01, and that we recommend that the point ratings to the City Council for adoption.
Thank you. Comments to the motion? I will just state that I will be voting in connection with my vote on this case earlier this year. Go ahead. Let's vote.
Motion passed 3-0, Wall opposed. Oh, I'm sorry, 3-1, Wall opposed.
Thank you very much. And we will go to miscellaneous items, reports, and referrals. Mr. Prescott.
We have no miscellaneous items. Under director reports, we have your next tentative agenda for the next few meetings, and as you'll notice, and as we also have a memo in the packet, we're asking you to cancel your meeting of November the 27th, which is immediately following the Thanksgiving weekend. So your next meeting would be December 11th. Major project on that agenda would be a proposed addition to the Westlake Hyatt Hotel. And we also have the report on council items. The council, at their next two meetings, will be hearing appeals of two planning commission decisions. One on the was a wireless cell site on Westlake Boulevard, and which the commission approved, and a nearby resident appealed, and then also the appeal of the approval of the Dubin single-family home in the Mount Clef area was appealed by Save Our Ring of Green, and that appeal is scheduled for November 28th.
Thank you, Mr. Prescott. I will make a motion that we cancel our meeting for November 27th. Please vote.
Motion passed 4-0.
Thank you. Could I have a motion for the minutes of October 23, 2006? Commissioner Reynolds.
Move approval of the minutes of the meeting of October 23rd, 2006.
Are there any comments to the motion? None? Please vote.
Motion passed 4-0.
AB 1234 reports. Is there anything? Nothing. And are there any commission comments? Commissioner Fisher.
I have a couple. I'd like to adjourn in memory of two people. The first one, Mr. Don Pruner, who died last week, who started the ambulance company and actually started the first paramedic service here in Ventura County. Very, very sorry to lose him at such a, what I consider a young age. He gave us the EMS system that we have today, and very sad to lose him. The second person to adjourn in memory of is Commissioner Lund's son, Mark Andrew Lund, 25 years old, who died tragically in a car accident early Saturday morning. My thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and very, very sorry to hear that, and wish Commissioner Lund and his family well, and please let us know if there's anything we can do.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher, and we certainly all join you in that. We will adjourn to 6:30 p.m. December 11th, 2006.